Being outside is good for us. It's that simple. And trails make it easy for us to walk, bike, and be active outside in our own backyards. On the trail, we see people moving, connecting with their communities, making the places where they live great. For 40 years, Rails to Trails Conservancy has led the way, creating trails across the country, making it safer and easier for everyone to get outside. They want you to get involved. Find your trail and start your journey today at railstotrails.org/iHeart and follow at Rails to Trails on social.
911, what's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Clint, how are you?
I'm good.
Remember the movie Men in Black?
Yeah.
I don't know why with all of the UFO release, everything, which really isn't much at all now that I think about the things that I've seen so far. It's really interesting, the concept of just being able to use that little pen and kind of wipe out somebody's mind or their memories.
It's so cool to think about. Like, it's funny to think about. Men in Black came out, I want to say it was early 2000s or late 90s when the first Men in Black came out, and the technology that we saw and kind of the mindset of, there's aliens amongst us and there's just everything with that dynamic. But it is one of the coolest things is that flash pin, to be able to kind of reset your mind frame in how you analyze things, how you're looking at a specific situation. You know
what else is pretty interesting to think about is all of us conspiracy theorists that look back on some of these movies and then we realize the actualization of what has come to be that was once just a fallacy because it's just a movie.
Yeah, what's crazy is there's been a lot of things coming to truth based off of movies.
So we don't have that flash pen, not that I'm aware of anyways, but we do have EMDR. And I think that EMDR is changing how first responders heal from trauma in more ways than one. And I thought that we could kind of just touch on it a little bit. And if you're not familiar, it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, more commonly known as EMDR. And it's important for us to just understand the psychological concept of adaptive information processing and trauma memory reprocessing, because a lot of people are actually skeptical of the traditional talk therapy. And so for those that are, maybe it's because of the trauma that you're carrying, or you don't want that sterile kind of clinical setting. There are other modalities out there. And I think that EMDR is definitely one of them.
And I've talked to a lot of people who've actually experienced EMDR, and they've recognized the differences and how it has helped them. So it's really cool when you start breaking it down and learning these new techniques that are coming up and being able to reprocess those traumas and to reprocess whatever you have going on and to help work you through it.
It's very interesting, the actual process of it from everybody I know that has shared their experience with me. A lot of the times it's guided eye movements or tapping or auditory tones that help to be able to reprocess some of those traumatic and raw fragmented emotional memories, or even those loops to be able to help to kind of close some of them. And a lot of times too, this helps when it comes to reduction in emotional intensity of those traumatic memories, which is what I think is one of the biggest things that a lot of people say contribute to things like their PTSD.
When we start being able to process these items in a healthy way, it's finding those tools and resources that, we always think of this typical, like you said, as speaking with a therapist, speaking with a counselor, whatever it may be. But there's so many different modalities that we can lean into to help work us through those concerns.
Something else I've heard people talk about is the decreased frequency and the power of those intrusive thoughts or even those flashbacks.
And I think when we start leaning into a session, something like the EMDR, or it's kind of one of those things, it's not a one and done, but it is a one and that starts helping you progress through that whole mindset. Like I'm looking at it as a way of, I know a lot of people who go see a chiropractor on a regular basis, and they go to their chiropractor to get their back straightened out and get their joints all taken care of. And you can't just go once and, okay, I'm done, I'm all fixed, I'm better. It's going back on a regular basis to be able to move past that.
I know for some people, they would say, don't go even once, and then you'll never have to go back again.
That is true. And that's for the chiropractor.
I think too that something that EMDR changes the lives. One aspect that changes lives with EMDR is the improved sleep and reduction in hypervigilance that people talk about, and the greater emotional regulation and stability in daily life. And something else that I've heard is a lot of people talk about the ability to recall difficult events without being reactivated by them.
And that's where I think when you start having those recall on different events, it's being able to and being in tune with your body, because I think it's one of those things, and I've talked about this with others before and on the show is, I could say, what was the worst traffic accident you've been to? What's the worst homicide? And I guarantee, especially in the first responder realm or the military realm, a flash of whatever that was comes to your mind. And if you haven't processed that, you start having internal feelings associated to those.
Some of the reasons why talk therapy sessions sometimes basically fall short for first responders is because a lot of the times people don't realize that talk therapy will start at the traumatic thing, and then work your way back. And talking about the trauma in detail can a lot of the times re-traumatize without resolving.
And when we're re-traumatizing ourselves associated to whatever that incident may be, it's not always having that same healing effect. And I think there's a time and place for not everybody's set for a talk therapy type thing. And I think others are. Like, it's just having to recognize as who you are as an individual, what's going to help you and what's not.
Yeah, and that's a great point, is to just know your personal mindset. But then also, if you do want to seek out help, make sure that it's the best that's possible. There's too many resources that are available. I remember when I was growing up, don't judge me, but like going to the tanning salon, that was my thing. Like, I love, and I don't know why, we live in Southern California, but there was just something about like going in there and like smelling the tanning lotion and going in the tanning bed and having my own little private room. Like, I absolutely loved it. I still contemplate nowadays like getting my own tanning bed. I've talked about that with my dad. Doing it the right way and the healthy way. It's not as bad as people say.
Yeah.
But just like that, there used to be, from here down Main Street, something like 20 different tanning salons. And for me, I literally chose to go to the furthest one, which was like in Phelan. And it's the same thing when it comes to different therapists that you can actually seek out.
Yeah, it's finding those avenues, finding those things that you recognize for yourself that you enjoy. And it's that could be a self-care thing. It could be, it's breaking you out of your normal day-to-day routine, and it's something you're enjoying. It's something that gives you to strive for, to look forward to. And it's moving that needle.
I think too that first responders often can't access emotions verbally the way that talk therapy requires, and that could be another reason why it just might not help.
And I think that is a big I don't want to say issue, but a big thing with it is there's a lot of people who cannot articulate their emotions or feelings associated to it, because it takes a lot of work to learn how to find what's internally going on to be able to articulate that out to somebody else. If you know what's there, but you don't know how to articulate it to someone in that instance.
Totally. And something too is that the volume and the frequency of trauma exposure exceeds what verbal processing can keep up with for a lot of first responders.
And that's where I think it's like banging your head against the wall and trying to get that information out, and always having something new come up, and it could be affecting you in a good way, a bad way, whatever it may be. It's you're holding on to that, and you're not being able to process it in the way that your body and your mind needs to.
But for some people, it's completely opposite of that. For some people, they maybe don't store that trauma in their body. Maybe they don't store the trauma in their nervous system, and so having talk therapy might help. But for those other people who that is the case, EMDR reaches where the trauma actually lives.
And that's why it's so important to recognize and identify, okay, what's going to benefit me the most. And it's having the biggest understanding is you're not weak in being able to seek those outside sources. It's being able to find what works for you to help you lead that healthy work-life balance.
I think one of the most important things if you're considering EMDR is to just know that it does not require you to describe every single detail of what happened, and you don't have to recall or retell the story in order to be able to process things, which is why this is becoming more and more popular. And it works on specific memories and that cumulative trauma. EMDR is so effective for single incidents especially, and for those layered traumas of long-term career events.
Yeah, and it's so important once you start trying this, once you do it, go out and seek not just don't go to the shopping mall down the street and see if they offer it and like, well, let's try this one out just because it's that opportunity. It's do some research, find someone who's actually has the knowledge of being able to help first responders, military veterans, whatever it may be. Is you want someone that's going to be geared on being able to give you the help that you're looking for, because not everyone is going to be perfect, and you don't want, especially your first experience, to be a bad one.
And talk to somebody who's already done it, because the number one thing that I hear people say is that results actually came a lot faster than traditional therapy, and a lot of people actually experience a lot of relief in just a few sessions. I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below, and as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.
The grill is shot. The chairs are held together by optimism. And what happened to the rug? Sounds like your outdoor setup is not ready for patio season. Fix it all with Wayfair. Shop Wayfair for grills, rugs, furniture, and more. With 20 million 5-star reviews, room of choice delivery, and expert setup on qualifying orders, it's never been easier to do more for less. Get 10% off your first eligible purchase. Hurry to wayfair.com or download the app now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.